Hello, everyone. This is Jim from Converse. Glad you could join us today for another webinar in our series. This one today is about measuring our ROI in our digital marketing. Certainly something we all want to do. A little bit of explanation of how this is going to flow. It's pretty much our normal format. We're expecting 30 minutes or so of presentation, but we're open to questions. So if you have questions, put them in the question box, and as soon as we have a pause, I will pose the questions to our presenters, and they'll be able to give you the answers you're looking for. So without much further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Gary Grant and Carrie Bacon from ROI Inc. Here you go, guys.
SEO Inc.
Sorry, SEO Inc. About ROI. Thank you. Great.
Yeah, well, I guess, hi everybody, this is Gary and Carrie.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to just give a quickie on who I am in case you don't know. You probably know us. The company is called SEOinc.com. We've been doing SEO for over 20 years. Some people call me the grandfather of search. It's not offensive. It's okay. It's really cool. We've handled thousands of websites from SC Johnson to 20th Century Fox promoting Avatar, Wall Street 2, and Planet of the Apes. We've done everything in between, Entrepreneur Magazine, Vegas.com, Boats.com, WinZip.com. If there's probably a site out there, a large enterprise site, we probably touched them, and we touched sites in between. However, having said that, after 20 years, you'd be amazed at the people that come to me. I'm on the phone daily, 3, 4, 5 times a day, speaking with potential clients and clients that don't know or don't have a plan on how to measure ROI or what their ROI should even be, what key performance indicators or KPIs there should be. So it comes to a very broad spectrum of people and a broad spectrum of really what your goals are. Now, when I get on the phone, I tell everybody, look, I could look at traffic. I could look at your search engine results, where you're located and ranked. I could look at bounce rate. I can look at conversion rate optimization. But it really comes down to me communicating and understanding what each particular client needs as far as ROI. I'll tell you what, the number one ROI is revenue, making money. Well, isn't that what it's all about? Why do you have a website? As a business card? Well, maybe if you're a real estate agent, you want to put your information up there, but most people are about money, 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 money. All right, did I say that enough? They're about revenue and money. There are some weird cases where we take traffic and funnel them so it reduces call center volume and things like that. But 99% of people want to generate revenue. All right, having said that, that's really the easy part. There are so many factors in discovering out how that revenue is generated, where that revenue is coming from, who you want to target to generate the most revenue. There's all kinds of components. And then when you get a client in to generate revenue, how do you add on to that shopping cart to further generate revenue and bring up the cost of every sale to maximize the sale? Look, you work really hard on your SEO efforts and your paid search. You're spending money on your business. You've got to spend time, energy, and focus on what to do with those people. Just as like, I'm going to give you one quick example. Casinos right now, there's technology called beacon technology. So when you walk into a casino in Vegas or anywhere right now, you log on to their wireless. What you don't read is you never read the privacy statement, which allows them to track every move you're doing within their casino. They track where you walk, what machines you play out. That's understanding the demographic. That's how they can maximize their return. There are select locations in Target and Walmarts where they're experimenting with that now, either putting it in the shopping cart itself, or again, when you log on to the Wi-Fi, they're tracking everything you're doing, so then they can present the products to you. This is what you want to do with your website. It's a little complicated. How do you do that? How do you figure it out? Is my website being effective? Is it fast enough? Am I losing people? All that comes down to fixing and focusing on the people visiting your site and connecting them with what they need at a particular moment. How many people have heard when you go into a store that it's impulse buying? When you check out, they have, I call it the gauntlet. When my kids were younger, going through a supermarket, they had all this candy and garbage with super high margins positioned, and I called it the gauntlet because my kids used to grab everything on the shelf. That would maximize that sale. Those are add-on products. So start thinking like that. The old school brick and mortar, gives you some ideas, but when we take it to the web, it's a whole nother level. So I hope you kind of grab what this is going to be about. We're going to kind of pinpoint some major ones, but there's a lot that we're not going to cover here. But this is just to give you some food for thought, to kind of wake you up into realizing there's untapped potential when it comes to traffic to your website. So without further ado, I'm going to segue over to Carrie, who is one of our experts in CRO and optimizing for return on investment.
Okay. So I'm the Director of Project Management here at SEO Inc. I help all of the project managers do the best job they possibly can for all of our clients. And I speak on measuring ROI in digital marketing at conferences all across the country. So this is something that I really help clients understand and use in every day. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through my little presentation, and then if you have any questions, please type them in and we'll get to them as we go along. So the main thing that I always ask my clients is, what is your website for? There's three general categories that websites tend to be. One is lead generation. That would be filling out a contact us form. One is information only. And then there's also e-commerce. That's when you actually buy something on the site. You need to decide which one of these three is going to be the primary focus of your website. We have some manufacturing clients that they make products, but they don't sell them online because they're so specific to all of their clientele that while you would think they would be e-commerce, they're actually lead generation. You have to fill out a form in order to talk to somebody in order to get your customized parts made and delivered to you. And then e-commerce, of course, e-commerce, of course, is if you sell something online, and that would be one of your goals, is to sell all your items online to visitors. Now, what would you consider a win? Is it a form submission? Is it simply traffic to the website? Is it a purchase online? Does somebody give you a call? Does somebody sign up for email? This would be something that you really need to sit down with your team and find out, well, what are we using the website for and what do we consider a win? Of course, people are always saying, I want to make more money, but how exactly are you going to go about doing that? You may be able to have people buy items on your site, but sometimes, like I said, you need to get them to contact you first, and then you can make the sale or do the service. I work with dentists and plastic surgeons, and you can't buy it online. You have to go in and visit the doctor and have him speak with you. So his KPI is not only real site traffic, but also a form submission or a phone call. He wants to have people contact him and then come in and visit. So that's one of the KPIs that we help people measure. Any questions about KPIs?
No questions have been entered in
Okay, great. Just wanted to check because I usually get a few on that one.
Sure.
Great, so I'll just keep going. Now, with digital marketing, it's often thought that people automatically think of social marketing or social media, and they think that their efforts on social media, the only thing that they really, really want are followers, shares, and likes. But the thing is, while that helps you build community online, such as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, that's not a conversion. It is community building, but it's not a conversion. It's not really a KPI. A conversion would be if somebody buys your product, contacts you, gives you their information, gives you a phone call. That is a conversion, but that doesn't mean that the community building that you're doing online isn't part of the process. But remember that a like and a share is not a conversion when it comes to building your business. It's part of the community building, but it's not the end goal. Okay, so the first thing that you really need to do that helps track your ROI is setting up Google Analytics. I get so many clients every day that don't even know if they have a Google Analytics account. You can do things like Jetpack on WordPress, but Google Analytics tends to get a better point of view on the real traffic coming to your site. So what you need to do is to create a Google Analytics account, insert the code on the site, and then you test for accuracy. Okay, so now that you have analytics, what, you can see who is visiting the website. Are they your ideal client? You can find their age, their gender, the city, the country, and also whether or not they're using their mobile phone, a tablet, or a desktop. And this can help you decide what kind of information to put up on your site. And if the people coming to your site are the ones that are going to turn into conversions for you. And this is how you turn on the demographic tracking on Google Analytics. It's under audience, and then you go to demographics overview, and there is a little blue rectangle that says enable, and you may have to update your privacy policy on your website because you are tracking information from people that are visiting your website, but it's information that they're voluntarily giving to Google anyways. But just to keep everything above board, you may just want to enter in a sentence on your privacy policy saying that we may use your information for demographic reasons. Okay, so here are the examples of the charts that come up when you follow the demographics on Google Analytics. Like I said, age, gender, and you can also follow their interests like food and dining, cooking, shopping, news, politics, media, lifestyle, and travel. Once you see that these are some of the things that your clientele are looking for and that they're interested in outside of your website and outside of your product, you can start tailoring some of the content to things that they're already interested in. Or you can also see if these are the people that you are trying to sell to or not. Okay, and like I said, you could also find out if the people visiting your website are in your area, if you are a brick and mortar. If they're not near you, you may want to go back on the site and kind of change the content to be more focused on your general area. And here's where you find the location by country or city. You go back to the audience overview, go to geo, and then location, and then all the cities will pop up for you. Okay, so now here's how to read the actual traffic data. These are terms to know. A session is every time a client visits the website. A page view is just what it says, the number of pages on your website that are seen per month. There can be multiple page views per session. So if I go to your website and I visit 10 pages, that means there's one session, but 10 page views, okay? And the bounce rate is how often someone immediately leaves your site or only visits one page. And now the medium is where we're going to focus a lot on. That's the type of traffic coming to your site. Is it organic, direct, paid, social, or email? That's where the traffic is coming from. And we're going to discuss that further. Okay, so this is where you can see the types of traffic. On Google Analytics, look under acquisition, go to all traffic, and then to channels. This is the medium of the traffic. Direct is when someone goes to your site just by typing in the URL into their search engine. It's when someone comes to our website by typing in seoinc.com and hitting enter. That's a direct visit. There is no searching. You're not being sent from another website. You know exactly who you're looking for, and so you go there. And organic traffic.
Hey, can I jump in a little bit? This is Gary.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about that number with like referral traffic and direct traffic, because after we get people in, and Carrie, you and I have seen this 1,000 times, they're going like, man, our bounce rate is so high. On some pages, it's 100%. We're seeing really weird traffic. Well, in general, because of the data that we have, we've got a lot of data accumulated with a lot of websites. There is a tremendous amount of hackers, bots, scrapers, scammers trying to break the website. We have over 800 attempts a day on SEO Inc. And what you're going to find out is the higher you go in the rankings, the more you're going to be pinpointed as a target for these type of attacks. I highly recommend everybody, if you want to write this down, to look at a program called Cloudflare. There's a free version, there's one for $20, and there's one for $200 per month. It's a CDN, a content distribution network, which is going to incredibly speed up your site, lower your latency, thus increasing your conversions. And it also has a WAF, a web application firewall, to help reduce the bot traffic, which is going to give bad scoring signals. Because if your site is bouncing high, that's going to be one of those scoring signals that gets taken into effect. So I just wanted to throw that 2 cents in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't make any money by pitching Cloudflare. It's something that you really need.
It's a tool that we use on our own site as well. So back to the types of traffic, your mediums. Organic is online searches from Google, Bing, and Yahoo. This is not the paid ads that you see at the top of the results. This is the actual searches that come up. This is what I work on with clients to get not only their results to show, but have people actually click on the link. So referral is a link from another website. It would be like if I'm talking about, let's say, flood solutions, like if I get a flood in my house, and I'm talking about it on my personal blog, and I'm like, oh, how do I fix a flood in my house? I worked with this person, link here, and they fixed everything fantastically. If you were to follow that link, that would be a referral traffic. It's going from one site to another. Social is traffic from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Now, sometimes analytics of all sorts confuse referral and social traffic. So that's when some of the coding comes in that we'll be talking about in a minute. Paid traffic is just what it says. It's like Google AdWords or display ads. So it should be coming in as paid traffic, but like I said, sometimes it gets a little funny with the coding. But to make sure you're getting it tracked correctly, we'll be talking about the coding, and the same with email. That would be newsletters that you're sending out to your email lists. Okay, so here's the tracking that I was speaking about. Tracking your traffic correctly with UTM coding. This is really important, and this is what I use all the time. I use it in our own emails that we send out, in our campaigns that we do on social media. And if I have a specific blog post that I want to make sure that someone is clicking on a link within it, I'll add a UTM code as well. If you want to make your own UTM codes, please go to the GA DevTools website. The URL is there at the top in the header. This will really help you when it comes to making the UTM codes correctly. This is a site from Google, and they walk you through step by step. So if you get a little lost after seeing today's webinar, you can always go back to that website, that URL, and they will take care of you and they will walk you through it. So I did an example of, there we go. Not what I wanted. Of our own website and a hypothetical campaign called webinar, ROI webinar. So our website is seoinc.com. The source would be our newsletter. The medium is email, and the UTM campaign is ROI webinar. So the source is the specific place that the traffic is coming from. Is it coming from Facebook? Is it coming from a link within a blog? Is it coming from your newsletter? Is it on the sidebar? Is it a promoted post on social media? This is something that you're going to have to figure out as you build the link. The medium is what we were talking about. On this example URL, the medium is email, but you could be organic, direct, paid, email, social. If you're going to be building a UTM code to a URL, it'll probably be underneath either paid, email, or social. Okay? Okay, and so the campaign really helps for you to specify what it is that you wanted to track on this code. This part of the code is not necessary to build it, but it really, really helps you when you go into Google Analytics and you see which campaign is doing best. The thing you must keep in mind, though, is that capitalization matters in UTM codes. If I was to type in medium equals email with a capital E and then small MAIL, it'll show up different in my analytics than if I typed in medium equals small e, small MAIL. It'll track it as two different mediums. So you really have to be careful when you're writing out these UTM codes that you are using the correct capitalization. I try to keep everything lowercase, but you can test it and then see how it's tracking and make sure that you know how it's actually being done. And if you do it one way, just keep doing it that one way. That way all of your tracking will stay the same. Does anybody have a question on UTM codes?
No questions have been, oh, wait a minute, here's one.
Okay.
As we speak. The bottom of the slide cuts off enough to lose an entire line of the slide.
Okay, let me see if I can make it bigger. There, it just says that capitalization matters in UTM codes. Be careful. Yeah, be careful. That was the line that was missing. Okay.
There's some typing being heard, kind of.
Okay.
Oh.
Gary?
Done.
There There we go. Okay. There we go. Be careful. So that's just what I really wanted to. This is the best way to track where your traffic is coming from, especially if you're paying for ads and if you are putting a lot of effort into your newsletters and your social media. The UTM codes are really going to help you out, and it's one of the biggest things that I always suggest to our clients and that I use myself. Okay, so now that you have traffic coming to your site, you want to know what they're doing. Your goals in Google Analytics. It's your big KPI. Is someone calling me? Is someone filling out the paperwork? Is somebody buying something? It's your target objective. Goals represent a completed activity or conversion, and there are 4 types of goals in Google Analytics. Hitting a destination URL, session duration, how much time someone is spending on the website, the number of pages per session, or an event. Events could be clicking on a telephone number, clicking on a link, something like that. Okay? An example would be a contact form submission, online purchase, phone call, and newsletter sign up. These are the things that we were discussing about what is a win for you. What's a KPI? Did you want someone to call you? Did you want someone to buy something online? Did you want them to send their information, or did you want them to sign up for your newsletter? So these are your wins. And now that you know where the traffic is coming from, you can see who is converting. Is it your direct traffic? Is it your newsletters? Or is it your organic traffic? Okay, so events in Google Analytics. Events should be used to track interactions or action on your website other than page views. These are very specific parts that lead to a goal. They are parts of a goal, but events can be measured more than once per session per user. Example, it could be a phone number click, directions to your location, or if somebody's clicking on a video to play it and watch it while on your website. Okay, and this is how to set up a goal within Google Analytics. This is for a contact form. The first step is select your custom goal within the admin area. And then you please be very specific in your goal description. Sometimes I get people that just put goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, and then we get really confused about what it is. But this one is using the contact us form as the name of the goal description. So what we're doing is we're going to be tracking the thank you page that pops up once you fill out the information. So your goal is a destination page. In this case, it's the thank you page. Okay. So your goal detail is the destination is equal to the /thankyou.html. It's not case sensitive, just in case. So then you hit save, and then that goal is being saved on Google Analytics. So every time someone ends up on that thank you page, it'll track as a goal completion. They should not be able to get to the thank you page by clicking through your sitemap or anything like that. They should only be able to get to this specific page once they fill out the information. Now, to collect event data in Google Analytics, you need to add JavaScript code to your website. So you may want to have an engineer who works with you on your website. It gets a little complicated. I usually go to our CTO when he's not completely overrun with things to do, because he can find when I'll miss a comma or parentheses, but he'll know it right away. So to set up an event to track clicks on a button or a link, you need to add a code in the proper HTML tag, most likely a tag to track every click that occurs on the site. And here's the explanation of what you'll be putting in. The code is onClick equals GA, that stands for Google Analytics, send event category action label. So be sure to replace category, action, and label with the names you would be using when creating the goal in Google Analytics so that you know exactly what the goal is tracking. Is it a telephone call? Is it an address click? Is it a see more information here link? These are the things that you're going to have to decide. And once again, I highly suggest that you get extremely specific with it. Okay. So here are the event fields. There's a category and it needs to be in text, and yes, it's required. There's an event action. Once again, this is text and it's required. You don't need a label, but when you do add it in, it has to be in text, and the event value would be like, the value would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's not required. Okay, so this is how you set it up in Google Analytics. To collect event data in Google Analytics, you need to add the Java code to the site, like I said. And then here's the information we just went over. Once again, you're going to have to replace category, action, and label with the appropriate values. And so here's the example of how it is on a site already. Normally, when you put a link around an example text, it's just href equals link, the text, and then the close. Afterwards, this is how you'll be tracking it through Google Analytics. It'll be onClick equals Google Analytics, the GA, send event, your category, your action, and your label, and then the link with the text, and then your close. It seems a little complicated, and it can be, and this is why it's very important that you get with someone that understands the coding end of it, the JavaScript code. They know it a lot easier than most of us, and they're usually more than happy to help you at the beginning versus having to fix it later. So, but now that you have the code in, you can track your goals and your events, and then if you have your UTM code on the links that you're using for ads and social media, you can see exactly where the traffic is coming from and whether or not they're converting into goals. Okay, and that is the majority of the presentation. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so if anybody has any.
Well, I'm waiting for additional questions to be typed in. We haven't seen more right now. So, yeah, one question that I would have, I mean, this is something we are looking at quite often ourselves as far as what we're pulling from Google Analytics. And I mean, it's crucial. And there's a lot of data there. For those of us who have looked at it, we realize Google Analytics is supplying us a lot of information.
It is.
More than we know what to do with sometimes.
Yes.
Just your thoughts about how to handle that quantity of data in an actionable way.
Okay, the main thing that I always suggest that people focus on is channels, and that's where your traffic is coming from. It's what I look at every day with a client. I want to see where their efforts are paying off. I have a lot of clients that do a lot of social media advertising, but they have no idea if it's working, even though that you can see the analytics through the social media platforms themselves. Sometimes they just don't understand that, but once they see it on Google Analytics, it really, really helps them understand who is coming to the site and who is completing a goal or an event. Most of the time when you pull up Google Analytics and you look at the channel traffic, the mediums that we were talking about, it'll tell you right there if a goal was completed in that channel.
Okay. Now, Carrie, I haven't had a chance to look at the handout that I've tried to upload, and for those of you on here, yeah, there we go. There's the handout. We will be sending you a handout in the email that follows this. So, yeah, there's a question here. Can we get a digital copy of this presentation? And I'm going to assume the handout covers the main points from this presentation.
It does, and it has a few little things at the bottom that you can also check your Google My Business for traffic information and whether or not anything that you're doing on the Google My Business is converting over, because you can track directions to your location through Google My Business and telephone calls through Google My Business. And also there's on-platform analytic information, and also a site called Social Mention that will track mentions of you, your product, your business name online. And I also suggest something called Bitly, B-I-T-L-Y, for link shortening that also helps you track where traffic is coming from.
Now, also would be interested, and I'm sure some of the folks on here have some interest in understanding. I know we've talked about ROI and we've talked about measurements that we can make, and I tried to listen real carefully, and I might have missed the connection between ROI, being able to tie the dollars that we're spending to make things happen into these results that we're seeing from Google Analytics, and how to find the value there compared to what we've spent.
Okay, that's when the goals come into play, like setting up your goals. You can track the value of each submission, the value of a telephone call, and see, like on average, if for every submission that you get through your website, it may be worth $600 in a sale or a service that you provide. When you start tracking goals through the website, you can put the value might be $600, just to keep on average of what each conversion is. And it makes it really easy to see if you have 7 conversions from social media, that it equals approximately this much money.
Okay.
That's the easy way to do it. If you just want to track the number of conversions that you get, say telephone clicks, or form fill outs, you can do that. And then if you sell things online, you can also do e-commerce tracking through Google Analytics. So it can let you know specifically how much money people are spending. But you just have to connect it.
Sure.
And that's super helpful to most of my e-commerce clients. They track their e-commerce sales through Google Analytics as well, because that's their goal, is the number and the amount of revenue that they're making.
Okay, now that's great. I'm still waiting for more questions, and we haven't had more questions pop up. So I know Google Analytics is something that we're either understanding or it's a lot of gibberish, and so it's hard for some of us to get up and running. But once we do, and we catch on to the breadth and extent of the capabilities, it's amazing.
It is, and I know it's overwhelming, but so is running a business. But you wouldn't do sales without a cash register. So I think it's always important to know how your business online is doing, just like your business in-house is doing. It takes a little effort, but once you have the analytics set up, it makes everything make more sense. I know it's overwhelming. I deal with it every day, and sometimes I get confused, but I have people I can reach out to. I have engineers I can reach out to. I have friends that don't work with me directly, but I ask questions all of the time, and there are a lot of groups online that'll give you information as well. And if you want a copy of the presentation, we can send that to you, no problem, and it'll take you through the directions of how to do it. Google also has a lot of information online on how to set up events and set up goals and to set up values for each conversion. But it really helps you to figure out, if I'm spending $1,000 a week on Facebook ads, is it worth it? Is anybody signing up? Is anyone buying my product? Is anybody coming into the store? If you're spending all your money here and nobody's coming in, but you're spending less money over here and you're getting more traffic, you should start funneling that money to where the traffic is working. And that's what
Correct.
we want you to do. We want you to figure out where everything's coming from and then put the money where it should be going, not where you hope it should be coming from.
We do have
Correct.
a question here. When tracking sales for e-commerce through Google Analytics, does it give you the ability to track sales from a first paid ad visit that subsequently purchased through a direct search?
Yes, they have a new funnel that tracks e-commerce especially.
Hey guys, I want to add one thing, and this will be the starred action item of the day. This is something everybody could do right now to work on to increase revenue, to increase leads. So these numbers are going to blow your mind. And this first number I'm going to give you, and you could divide it up on how much revenue your site is doing per month. This is directly from Akamai. Akamai is probably the largest enterprise content distribution network out there. Okay, and from the report they personally gave me, if your website is generating $1 million a month, for every second that page loads, the load time, you're losing $700,000 a year. All right. So let me simplify this even further and break it down a little bit more granularly. So if you're doing $1 million a year, every second that takes longer for that page to load, you're losing $700,000. So conversely, every second that you lower, you're gaining $700,000 per year. Amazing, amazing, staggering number. If that's one thing you do today, that's going to change revenue for your company. So I'll break it down. So 1 second in delay in page load time means 11% loss of page views. Staggering numbers there, right? Conversions. Here's where it comes down to conversions. 1 second delay means a 7% reduction in conversions. So usually when Carrie and I, when we look at websites and the whole team at SEO Inc., if a site is loading dangerously long and long load times, 9 seconds, a 9-second delay is 29% of your visitors. 29, think of that. So out of 100 people, you're losing 29 people. Out of 1,000, you're losing 290 people right away, immediately, done. People do not want to wait. It's a world of instant gratification. So if you take away one thing today, first actionable item, get that site faster. You know how you can do it, which will help immediately, Cloudflare, or working on the back end of your website. There's a lot of plugins from Majestic, Drupal, condensing code, accelerated caching for PHP, going to HTTP 2.0, making sure every page loads, website images are reduced. I can't tell you the beautiful sites that we come across with incredibly large pictures that you can do compression, algorithmic compression called lossless and losslessly. You can look those up online and it'll have more of a description without getting super technical here.
Gary, question for you. Rule of thumb, what is obviously we want it to load in a second or less, but that's not going to happen. What's a realistic expectation we should have for a page load speed times?
That's a super good question. Okay, so if you go on to Google and run any kind of scoring for your website, and they have site speed scoring, average score is 71%. Okay, people want to see smartphones, they want to see a page load in less than 4 seconds. Right, so if you're at that 4 second mark and under, you're doing pretty darn good. Get this, which is really crazy. Customer experience, 47% of customers want the page to load in 2 seconds or less. Well, that's pretty crazy. So if you ask me what the average load time is, it depends on the site. There's a lot of different dependencies on that. 4 to 6 seconds is pretty okay. That's good. Anything under than that is fantastic. Now, this is a small thing that people forget to talk about, and there's some mixed opinions if you even know about this little acronym. It's called TTFB, Tom, Tom, Frank, Tom. That's called time to first, or I'm sorry, TTFB, time to first byte. That's the latency between your browser server and the response request. That number should be low. If you look at our site, we're about 4 to 3 to 2% 2-second load time, and our time to first byte is incredibly low. It's 0.28 seconds or 0.1 milliseconds. It's insane.
So Gary, how can somebody measure that TTFB? I mean, most of us.
How can they measure it?
Yeah, we're not set up for measuring that. What can we do for measuring that?
All right, perfect, great. There's a great website to go to. I use this every single day. It's called webpagetest.org. It'll give you everything in super detail of what's going on with latency, page load. There's this thing called a waterfall, and that shows the overall site of each line of code, each image, everything loading. And the waterfall effect is, if you were to look at like a straight vertical line, the longer items push way to the right. You're going to see a long waterfall on that, because let's figure, if a waterfall is very short, the water going down to the bottom is very quick. If you look at Niagara Falls, when the water comes off the top and travels down, 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 that's how long it takes to get to the bottom. So they call it the waterfall effect. And it's at webpagetest.org. That's a great one. I think it's a little bit more accurate than any of the Google speed tests. Google simplifies it, but they don't break it down granularly, like compression, all different factors in there.
That's fantastic. One other question we had was about there were several places online mentioned for various aspects of today's presentation. And what they're saying is, where can we go to get more information? And I think it's probably looking, what are some of those links? Probably, Carrie, if you could provide that when I send out the email, letting everyone know about the where they can go review this presentation, I can include those links.
Definitely. I think most of them are on that that handout too.
Okay.
And if I miss any, they can feel more than free to email me and then ask me a question.
Okay, super. Well, I'm not getting more questions. I'm running out of questions myself. I mean, I could go on all day. This is a great topic, and
I know it's overwhelming when you start it. So I'm sure that people will get more questions later. And I understand. I'm one of those people that an hour and a half after I have a discussion, I'm like, oh, I should have asked this and I should have asked that.
Yep.
And that's fine. You can always go to our Facebook page and leave a question. We're very open to helping. And just let us know that you were on this webinar.
Well, very good. Appreciate it, Gary. And Carrie, it's been a great presentation. I know I've made some good notes here, things that a few of them I was aware of and we're working on, a few I wasn't, and we're gonna pull those into our mix of how we're running our marketing efforts and measuring. It's gonna help, so I appreciate that. And just a repetition for everyone who's been part of this webinar today, listening in. If you joined in late, we will be emailing out a link to the recording. It'll take probably not past tomorrow noon, but it's between now and tomorrow noon. The email will go out to you with the link, so you know where you can go and review this webinar, and that'll also include the handout that Carrie mentioned, and then these links that we're looking for that she referred to. So,
Great.
any parting words, Gary or Carrie?
Yeah, you know what? I just thank everybody for their time. You know, I know time is also a conversion rate. Time equals money. But you know what? If you get really frustrated with this, and you know, we only scratched the surface. I mean, this is just a 30,000-foot overview. But if we could give some insight and help business owners, that's what it's all about. You know, I've been doing this over 20 years, and if I can help somebody out, that's what the name of the game is. And that's really what I want to leave everybody with.
All righty. Well, thanks very much, and we appreciate you being part of this. It's been very helpful information. Thanks everybody for attending. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.